everyone for tuning in to yet another episode in which I talk about issues related to public transport. And today is train station 3D model. Remember how I did some game streaming when I just got this computer? This is a play a we're gonna play a short FPS. The short FPS is called Walking Around a redesigned Penn station. It is in an engine that could be used for FPSs, except you don't shoot, you can't even jump, and there are no enemies. So it's not actually so it's FPV, but it's not it doesn't have any of the S parts, I guess. So um, just to orient a little bit, this is dynamic. Dynamic means you can walk around. It's not a static architectural drawing, and this means that, for example, if we were to put in the buildings, this is the corner of 33rd Street and 8th Avenue. So you can see the Farley building, Moynihan Station, Moynihan Train Hall, right here. You can't enter like this building is bricked up or marbled up, I guess. Um, but the building exists, and you can even enter Moynihan. It is here, and we're not showing the concessions in Moynihan or anything like that, but they exist. The train hall exists. There's even like you can see the sky here if you stand. So because you can't tilt your head, you can't see very easily that there's sky, but there's sky. Um, the point of this is what happens if you actually rebuild Penn Station ground up, because there are these Penn reconstruction proposals for $7 billion that don't touch the tracks. They add access points to the tracks, which is nice, but they keep the really narrow tracks with the obstructive columns. So here is me asking, okay, what if you just remove the stuff from the top of Penn Station? So right now it's a Madison Square Garden and a commercial building called like an office tower called 2 Penn Plaza, which is not that big. It's like replaceable for I don't know about $1 billion, and that means that the station would not need to bear the load of things that are not the station. And if the station does not need to bear the load of things that are not the station, yeah, exactly. If Then you can just move things around and it's so much easier. So what this means is that you can, instead of having, so the present day station, maybe I should show you Penn Station. I think this link might be okay. There's the other thing that we were thinking is Penn Station track map or concourse map. This is a bit too schematic. This is really good. This, I think we used a bunch when we were making the 3D model to orient ourselves. So the point is that Penn Station has 4 levels, which is street level. The upper level, which is already a little bit underground. No, the upper level is the street level from Moynihan, yeah. And then, so that's the street level. This is, I guess, the upper level of Moynihan, which isn't really used for anything. So we're gonna say 4 levels start from here. Main concourse, 1 level underground. It's also where the subway platforms are, directly beneath the street. This was built cut and cover. Uh, Lower level is another concourse, and then also there's something called a connecting concourse, which is actually part of the model. And then some subway access points below the platforms, and additional concourses, and then the tracks. Now, the tracks are 12.5 meters below street level. So between the track level and the street level, it's like 3 level changes, and you gain 12.5 meters, which means that the ceilings are low. It's not a nice station. And you can see it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, hi, Toronto. So you can actually, I'm actually going to show you the connecting concourse because again, we kept it. So Penn Station currently has 21 tracks, You can see the numbers from 1 to 21. The reason for the odd number is that it's you can think of it as 22 tracks and 11 platforms, but one track is missing and is instead a wider platform. That is so the missing track is I want to say track 18. So the new track 18. So essentially the platform between tracks 18 and 19 is the wide one. So I guess if these were numbered straight, and you can think of the kind of correct numbering as 1 through 22, where 18 is missing, I think. Uh, but the upshot is that one platform, which is the one between tracks 18 and 19, is rather wide. You can see here. And you can see the missing track. Like kind of this should be another track. Um, um, so I guess it's track 19 that's missing, then track 18 gets paired with this platform or something like that. Yeah, that makes sense. So anyway, the point is that very narrow platforms, like really narrow, like we're talking 5, 6 meters, which exists. It's not unheard of. For example, there's Neuroport. Let me see if I can find the pics that I did not make. Neuroport. Like I didn't post these anywhere. So Neuroport. Ooh, yeah, this is the right one. Yeah, so this is a mainline station in Copenhagen. It is not the main station or anything, it's Nørreport. It is 2 stops north of Copenhagen Central on the commuter trains and 1 stop north in the mainline trains. But it's actually a busier stop for commuter trains. It's closer, it's more central within Copenhagen. Now, the commuter rail station has wide platforms, but this, look like this, so to put it in perspective, this is, I think, 1 meter 20. So we're talking about a platform that's maybe 4 or 5 meters. So it's doable. It's really cramped. It's not good design, but and I will say they use this space better than Penn Station does. But the um but it's still not what you would like in a station. So anyway, what you should be doing is as soon as these stop having a million columns to kind of fix everything in place, you remove everything. Yeah, you can do it on like island platforms and like low ridership things. And bear in mind, Penn Station does not have amazing ridership per platform. Remember, this is a station with 11 platforms. Uh, and what's the mainline ridership on Penn Station? So people keep saying things like Penn Station has 600,000 daily riders, but that's bullshit. It has 600,000 daily riders if you include the subway and if you include both boardings and alightings. So boardings, um, I mean, facts at a glance, NJ Transit. I don't need to actually um guess or have you guess. I can literally show you the path through. So this is, so note by the way that this is numbers before Corona. And so Penn Station has 94,000 boardings on New Jersey Transit. On the LARR, I have not seen very recent numbers. I've seen numbers from the 2000s, but ridership has not increased by that much since. It was about 100,000. And then Amtrak adds a couple more. Um, so it's a little more than 200,000 boardings per day. And at a station with 11 platforms. And just to put this in perspective, I'm gonna need to go some file explorer and see, and you can see. I don't think this is the right one, right? It's Transilien Fréquentation, the one that I'm looking for. Because the other one is RATP, and I want SNCF because RATP gives me not the numbers that I need. Um, so this is ridership per station in Paris. It is given by, it's based on counts, so they tell you what day they did the count. It's only SNCF, so it omits RATP. Um, This is with massive transfer artifacts. Um, so on JOB, which is jour ouvrable, uh, workday. Um, I just want to highlight this station with the data artifact. So this station is called GVC. Um, this number is boardings per day. This number is boarding per day and period. So we're looking at afternoon peak because this is boardings. So they peak in the city in the afternoon, of course. GVC is a suburban station. It's actually pretty symmetric. So 32.6 on the C and 29.2 on the D. I think it's a top 10 station in ridership in France. Um, it's a suburban station. It's not that important. Um, the reason for the numbers is that these count transfer artifacts. So it's a station where you have a transfer between the LLC and the LLD, and so people transfer, and they're counted as boardings on the train that they're transferring to. So bear that in mind when I point out that Paris Nord, it is the boundary between SNCF and RATP, but they have to count boardings on these trains in both directions. This is just on the B, not on the D. The D is separate. So boardings at Paris Nord, which has very wide platforms, but it only has the two platforms and four tracks. One on the there's the northbound and the southbound. It's a cross-platform transfer from the B to the D, I believe. And the D here would be another 91. So basically more people board on the two platforms of Paris Nord than on the 11 platforms of Penn Station. And that's without any of the mainline traffic, of which there is quite a lot as well. And like on Transilien. And this is, so again, this is with very wide platforms, but there are only two of them and Penn Station has 11. So bear in mind when people talk about how is GVC close enough to the core to be mostly lighting door morning peak? No, GVC is again pretty symmetric. So let's go on. So because we have this wait period, let's go on GVC again. So D has 12.4K evening peak lightings, sorry, boardings. The C, how many? So we said 12.4 and 8.5, and then in the morning it's going to be the 6 heures à 10 heures, and this is going to be 15.8 morning on the C, and the D would be 8. So one of the things, so one of the ways you know it's massive transfer artifact is that the C and D have opposite peakings on this. So the C has more morning than afternoon, and the D has more afternoon than morning. Like actually, the volumes at so essentially what it's telling us is that people are mostly transferring from the D to the C at the station, which is kind of strange because I would have expected the transfer direction to be C to D because the D has better job access in central Paris. But yeah. Um, so yeah, this is why I keep saying that these are transfer artifacts. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. And by the way, if you're looking for the table that does not live on my computer, it lives on my blog somewhere. Um, uh, why is it? Oh, yeah, this is the thing to check. This is the source. I grabbed it from SNCF Open Data. It's not this literal table because I did some I did some massaging, not to the underlying number, I didn't change the numbers or anything, but I moved the order of the columns a little bit to be able to sort them better. Specifically because I want to be able to compare. Like I did things like daily ridership, which the original table did not have. The original table only had ridership by day and time of day. So I did things that let you do a certain summation to be able to get to get daily numbers. Um, and there might be newer data I have not seen. So anyway, this is why it's useful to have fewer, wider platforms. Which again, there's space. Like this is so the space for this is like 150 something meters. Um, and yeah, if you have 150 something meters and you slice them into 8 platforms, even with a bunch of space for tracks and track centers, um, you are going to get very wide platforms. These are 11.5 meters. And this is with overly wide track centers. The track centers are 4.5 meters, and you only need 4. So you can even steal another half meter for the platform if you need to, which I don't think you do. Anyway, I was starting to talk about the kind of concourse and how it exists, and you can kind of see it is very cramped. So this is West End Corridor, um, and and you can kind of see how it looks like you're hitting the ceiling. You're not actually hitting the ceiling. The ceiling is about 3 meters. The camera height is 1.60 meters. So the camera height is it might actually be my eye height. I'm not sure because I'm 1.73 meters. Um, and then there's this corridor. This is the connecting corridor. So you have the subway connection. Obviously, you can take the subway. That's out of scope for the level. But there's this corridor where the slope is real. This is a real corridor that exists. It's one of these stop doing math. Like, you know what I mean? This stop doing math. Like these are real things made by real mathematicians, statements uttered by the utterly deranged, like that kind of meme. Um, this is a real corridor. Again, it's called the connecting corridor. It's something you can see at Penn Station when you take the uh, whenever you're taking I think the LIR tracks 2021 like dumping in there. So yeah, this is for the 123, and again, it's blocked off with glass. This is a new corridor called East End Corridor, with insufficient vertical circulation to 7th Avenue, which I'm aware of. Um, and yeah, 7th Avenue. So that's a train station. That is the level. There are more corridors that you can explore if you would like. Look at the look at this, and the password uh, is let's redo that. If it prompts you for a password, it might not. Then let's redo this. One word, no apostrophe on let's. Um, because this is the second version of this. The first version was a lot less nice. Yeah, Eastern Corridor doesn't have step-free access, but um, yeah, so the step-free access to the platform is uh, from the walkways. Um, in one of the things that I did, and this might look very subtle, but you know, so the elevators have so the elevators open. You see which direction the doors open. They open along the axis of the so the line for of people waiting for the elevator is not going to block people walking on the walkways. It is going to block people on the platform, but the platform is massively wide and can handle that. So that is a thing. Um, so yeah, so the path of travel with step-free access to 7th Avenue is kind of annoying. Especially if the 7th Avenue subway. but the path of travel to Eighth is easy, and the path of travel to the street is, I mean, big station, but it doesn't actually require any kind of backtracking. Um, like there are ways to resolve this. Like there are a bunch of ways to resolve this. Probably the easiest way to resolve is to so probably the easiest way to resolve, and by the way, you can absolutely fall like this. Um, is to add more east-west things, like to add kind of a 31st and a half, 32nd and a half street. So let's say, so see how here um there's this empty space. You can like anchor like something that is a connection from here, well, here from the street level, not the corridor level, to the east walkway. It's probably the easiest. Um, yeah, the elevators are, yeah. Is there enough room between elevator exits and platform to turn a wheelchair? Yes, absolutely. Lots and lots of space, and I will show you. The easiest way to exit there is to learn parkour and climb to street level. Yeah, yeah. I mean, so by the time I realized that there's absolutely enough space here to do escalators and elevator, not escalators, but escalators and stairs that go in this direction, like go like this, rather than like all the other vertical, like all the other slants here, which go like this. Um, it was too much. It was essentially a scope issue, but it's something that absolutely can be done, and like as actual physical construction is easy. Like it's not actually like especially. So the thing is, um, so escalators are good for uh convenience and evacuation, things like that, but um you can actually do just pure stair and elevator if you really need to. So if there's somehow not enough space for an escalator here, you can just make this a staircase. These are big elevators. These are very big elevators. The um, elevators, I think 3 by 3. They're 3 meters by 2.7, which is massive. So in America, an elevator bit in a residential building is about 2 by 2, maybe a bit more than 2 by 2, maybe 2 by 2.2 or something like that. And this is based on wheelchair being able to turn a wheelchair inside. In Europe, the elevators are noticeably smaller. I think the external dimensions are like 1.5 by 1.5. So these are high capacity elevators. I'm guessing you would add like two more of them and then stairs around them or something. But again, we're not trying to redo the blueprint. We're trying to do the blueprint. And yeah, parkour is nice. And I'm not just saying it because literally at this point, I think she's the character whose name appears the third most in the story as a parkour artist. Um, Parkour always felt magical to me, so I'm writing a story about someone who, unlike me, actually has that skill. Um, so this is the diagram that we're gonna try tweaking. So I've been asked for a 2D model. Uh, this is the 2D model. So let's go over this. So this is size comparison. This is on a different layer. Um, how about this? I'm gonna show this. Um, Column map. Hmm, okay. Page up is not working. So this is a real map, a column map that you can get from a bunch of online sources, which is from World War II. So it does not include things like the Moynihan rebuilding. So this looks a lot. So this used to be a daylit yard, and I'm not talking World War II. I'm saying in the 2000s it was a daylit yard. So it would often be the case that if the train at Penn Station was If you're at the very head of an Amtrak train, sometimes you could see the daylight, or if the train was waiting for a slot to go through the tunnel, you could see the daylight. Um, all of this has been overbuilt, but there's a specific box for Gateway. It was built as part of Hudson Yards. It's around, so the box kind of lets Gateway come through here. So this is the approach to Gateway. This is where you see people saying that Gateway has to point toward block 780. It's not block 780. This is block 780. Kind of Gateway is forced to do this. No, it isn't. Like this, like you can see all the column spacing. This respect. I mean, I'm disrespecting a track, not a track, a platform, which like an out of service platform, like a yard platform. I'm disrespecting a lot of shit. But like, so here I don't take the columns into account. Um, and here I kind of don't, but here, like, look at this. This doesn't actually interfere with the columns. And so, um, and this is, and by the way, so these curves are rather gentle. The curves to the east are 300 meter radius for the turnout. So the turnout, I don't remember the number of the turnout that I used. Um, it's the one that is 300-meter radius. I think it's one. I think this means that the turnouts are 1 in 9, not like number nines. Um, but but the radius is 300. So these are all arcs of 300-meter circles. And the other thing to note is that in 300-meter radius in this one, okay, I'm gonna move column map back to the bottom so that I can actually click things. Um, so you note that these platforms don't look like they taper. So I tapered the tracks. So the 3D model is based on actual tapering of the tracks, but not of the but not of the platform because these are just rectangles. So Emily, the artist, just I mean I mean what I said was that they should do this and then interpolate the platform. So yeah, in my original 8 platform proposal, line 1 used the center platforms. Why did I flip that in this model? Good question. Related. Okay, so I'm going to answer this. So this is where we're going to look at the model and see. The reason I have intercities in the middle here is twofold. First of all, you need less tapering for them, so these are less tapered because they're closer to the center, and this means that um, so you don't actually need any curves if the train is if everything takes a straight path, you don't actually have a curve radius on this. This would be if this is 300 meters. This is still like slow, and so this is useful for the faster trains, but also um there's a taper on this side, so this is friendlier to 16 car trains. Like if you're like this, like if you're trying to have 16 car trains here, like this is 400 meters. Like this is so the scale is 10 pixels per meter. This is how far you need to go to get 16 cars. Because the current platforms terminate a little bit farther east. Um, and so here you would need to kind of continue them here and have platforms that are really narrow at the end. So this is why this is in the middle. And second, what happens if high-speed trains get dedicated platforms? So first of all, here you can just assume that this track, this track, this track, this track, and eventually there's going to be a turnout that disrespects one of these because you would want because if you're here, might as well use a relatively fast number. So instead of 300-meter radius, I think this is a circle of radius 1.5 kilometers. I don't remember or maybe 1.2. Okay. um, which is I never remember the numbers because they're designed around a certain speed. So I'm just gonna yeah, okay. So this is like these are fast turnouts. Um, and this is not a fast line. This is the line. This is just the Hudson Tunnel project. This is the gateway. It's just that there's space, so might as well not make trains slow down to 60 kilometers an hour when you can get 100. I mean, yes, the cost of installing a turnout is higher when the turnout is higher speed. What Huli told me when I asked a couple of years ago was that the um, German turnout installation costs are roughly proportional to the turnout number. Um, so it's roughly proportional to speed. So if it's, I don't know, and American turnout installations outside New York are the same as in Europe. Like in New Hampshire, they were looking at reactivating commuter rail to Boston, and this was I forget whether it was a New Hampshire study or a Massachusetts study, but they were using actual American turnout installation costs, and they were 250K for I think a number 10. Um, and yeah, maybe it was a couple years ago, so there's been inflation since, but it's like not a lot of money. And yeah, if you bump it up from what would be I guess 50 kilometers an hour. So if you I guess I think it's 18.5 actually this number. Yeah, so if you're bumping up the number to 18.5, yeah, you need to double the cost. But okay, so you're raising the cost from 250 or 300 to 500 or 600. It's pocket change, and you're saving travelers a lot of money, so might as well use that. Certainly, it would be the same here. Um, but the point is that if you build another dedicated high-speed rail tunnel pair, it can enter wherever you want here, wherever there's space, and then hook to here. On the other side, that's the annoying. There isn't actually a lot of space here. The you can maybe claw under this building a little more because this building was supposed to be the Penn 15 building. Like it's, I don't know what the status of that is. This is Penn 11 and it's here to stay. Um, so I don't think you can curve these more. These respect the building. Like if you let me move column map here, um, like this is the actual curve of the track under the corner of the building. And it's symmetric here. It's about the same. And I don't know why it's not working when I use my mouse. So here you would need to have these dive. And here's the sketch part. The dive, I think, is 8%. Like to be able to clear under this, you need 8% grades, which is fine, by the way, because it's 8% grades that are so short that the train never will stall, will never stall. Like either runaways or stalls are based on like these are both based on the average grade over the length of the train. And this is much shorter than the length of the train, so you can do this. There would be tunnels under 30-second straight and like level negative 2, level negative 1 being the existing tunnel, which is sketch, but I think is doable. If you're trying to do a would trains even hit 100 kilometers an hour at the platform end? Not at the platform end, but far from the platform. Like this. This is not the platform end. Thank you very much. This is like something like you can actually look at the problem is that X here is in millimeters, not in pixels. So let's see. This is 1,000 millimeters. Can you see? Yes, you can. I'm on the other end. So this is 100 millimeters. It's 1,000 millimeters. Then 0 is 0. It's here. So the platform starts, and this is only if it's a 12-car train. If it's an 8-car train, I imagine you will not put it. I imagine an 8-car train would be centered. It would be here to here or something. But so let's say you're starting around here. What is it said to be? It starts at 820k pixel, and wait, at 20 pixels. Um, the um, curve would be controlling through the turnout, so it's around here, which is negative 220. Negative 220, this is in millimeters, so that is this in inches, which is this in pixels, so about 830. So we're talking 830 plus what did we say we started? 820. So this is 820 plus 830, so this is 165 meters. But that's wrong because it's 165 meters plus the length of the train. Remember, the train's speed is governed by the slowest part of the track that is currently occupied by the train, not the fastest. And so this means that this is a speed limit that would last 165 plus 300 meters. And can a train hit 100 kilometers an hour within 400 something meters? The answer is yes. Like commuter trains accelerate fast. So like it matters even at that scale. Um, like the train would be accelerating. So the train would be accelerating at constant rate to 60 if this were a 60 kilometer an hour curve. Um, and so S is half of AT squared, which is half and T is V divided by A, so it's half of 1 over A times V squared. So this is V squared. No, not squared. Squared. Squaring and multiplying by 2 are not actually the same operation. Note to self. Divide by 2 and also divide by the acceleration rate. Yeah, you hit that in 115 meters. So even the front of the train would be slowed down by a bit, but this is again the back. So this is 115 meters that it takes you to accelerate to 60. And if for 460 afterward you have to stay that, it's 350 meters, where instead of going 100, you're going 60. So what you do is this. This is total slowdown in hours, which is 8 seconds. 8 seconds is something that you absolutely spend. It's two turnouts, so you would spend an extra, I don't know. Again, if it's 300 and then it's 600, the faster one, it's 300 per turnout, so two of them is 600. Yeah, you absolutely should spend $600,000 to save travelers 8 seconds. Absolutely. Um, yeah. It is a memorable experiment. Yeah. Yeah. The Soviet escalators are very fast, and Pony keeps complaining that they're also not very reliable. So whenever they do upgrades on these in Praga, he complains on my Discord. They are the escalators get like maybe more modern, but also a lot slower. These are not. I'm not assuming that these are fast escalators. I don't remember escalator speed right now because I want to say there is a limit to my autism. But it's actually because I am old and therefore forget things nowadays. Um, I think it's half a meter per second of rise or something, right? Or it's half a meter per second. You know, I literally looked at Conan while uh blogging last night. Like this blog post I wrote in a day, and I don't usually write things that are this long in one day. Um, and they didn't even talk about phasing in the blog post. So if people care, I will talk about phasing. And yeah, speed is the problem is they're not saying if it is rise speed or escalator speed, because if it is escalator speed, then the rise would be, I guess, 1 divided by square root of 3, that, because that's a tangent, because that's a tangent of 30 degrees. Um, yeah, that I'm assuming that that is the speed. And of course, they're talking about how Billy and Hauptbahnhof uses these. This, like specifically, this setup is something that I cribbed for this. I initially wanted to have two escalators and then a much narrower staircase and then two escalators until it was pointed out to me that it's literally not used anywhere. And that is insane, and I don't need that much vertical circulation. Um, this is the DC metro, by the way. Red line, uh, blue line, yellow line, green line, orange line. That's before they built the silver line. Yeah, okay. So half a meter per second means that these escalators are 24 meters in length, and this means 48 seconds to get from one end to the other. Like obviously because we use FPS conventions where the jump, like when you used to be able to jump, uh, the jump height was not like superhero, like you could not even jump onto the uh, escalator handrail unless you were jumping downward, but it was still usually more of a jump than an average sedentary adult can do. Um, and likewise, you move faster. Like you like, I mean, remember what I said? So like, obviously, you can't climb Mister like this fast. It's why you might get a weird sense of scale out of this model. Because it would just not be interesting to play if you walked at like normal scale. Like I guess horror games do that, right? Where like horror games make you walk much more slowly, and there's a little bit of a camera shake to get the feeling that like you're a little disoriented. And then a zombie comes and eats you. Yeah. I'll mention phasing in a second. It came in fine, but not with a lot of margin. Yeah, that's because okay. So a bunch of things. First of all, um, I think I was ignoring this. I think I was just looking at one, two, three, four, five, six at the time, and there's seven. The other thing is, I think I was assuming that the trains would have 3,000 passengers in them, which is insane. Like 3,000 passengers is okay for a 12 car is not shoreline levels of crowding, but I think but it's getting close. Like, I mean, I figured that I can actually look at actual capacity rates on the subway and then stretch them for longer trains, and this is why I realized I don't need to um assume 3,000 passengers get off per train. I can assume 2,000, and then it's much easier. Um, and bear in mind, the capacity of the walkway. So West Walkway actually so the capacity of walking this direction and this direction combined around the elevator is 3 meters in the east-west width. Um, that's this capacity. So it's what? It's 24 meters, but the edges are not completely usable. So let's say it's two or something, and then two for the elevator. So you got two directions, and this is the capacity. And again, maybe the exclusion of 2 meters is stupid, so you do this. That's the capacity you have of this. This is actually less capacity than than these have together because it's the stairs are 2.7 meters. Um, then you have an up escalator, two per direction, eight platforms. Like the reason you can use all of this is that these platforms are all going to peak at once, and also a bunch of these like platforms 1 and 2 in regular service never need to evacuate the full train here because half the train gets off at Grand Central. Platforms three, four, five, six, five and six are intercity, so fewer passengers until you build separate high speed tunnels, which you might never end up doing. These like can't get to train every 2.5 minutes per platform because they share tunnels. So um, platforms three and six also have more access points here and here, but the but at some point like you're saturating the walkways too much. Was one reason. An access time speedrunner, yeah. I mean, yeah, I do that too. But I mean, at this point, I get to the point that I even like get to it to like building hop on of like 5 minutes before the train departs, not cutting it even closer. I wouldn't even call 5 minutes to be cutting it close, to be honest. Um, but yeah, so about phasing. Those colors we don't need to. Um, and yeah, so by the way, if you're wondering, I'm gonna start doing some surgery on these while we talk. Um, so these don't exist. What? Oh, there are two of these? What? Okay. Um, these are escalator only at the eastern end. Um, so about phasing. Um, okay, so there are a bunch of ways to think about phasing. So first of all is what is the most important thing to do? And so right now, the way it works is that the northern platforms, because um, they're just way better vertical access because of this. Um, so in case people, so this by the way, north this way is north. Um, in this model. So this is the connecting corridor. Tracks 2021 are right here, so it's easy to get to. There's a bunch of access points. The platform between tracks 18 and 19 is wide enough that it's okay. They're not the highest priority to change. There are people who will tell you that you don't even need to touch anything on that about these platforms. Just do upgrades on the southern and central platforms. And so the upshot is that the most important thing to do is at the bottom. The second upshot is that you can kind of kill the bottom. Um, and I really hope that all of the very queer people on social media don't take this out of context. Um, like the ones who say things like the twinks should not have rights or something. Why no platform doors? Because nobody has platform doors on main lanes there. They're installing, I guess they've installed them on the Yamanote line, but the Yamanote line is the least main line rail that I'm aware of, even less mainline than the S-Bahn. Like you need, it's a different signal system. Like you need so mainline signal systems don't have the right precision. Yeah, oh yeah, but I mean Crossrail is also not meaningfully mainline. Like it matters because the if you want platform edge doors, you need to have a signal system that can realign the train with the doors, which means meter scale precision, which nobody needs on main lines usually. So, for example, the Munich S-Bahn uses a modification of Linienzugbeeinflussung, LZB, where the blocks are, I think, down to 50 meters. So there are multiple blocks, sometimes to the platform, which is the same, uh, which is the same functionality for all intents and purposes as moving blocks, without having moving blocks, and they get 30 trains per hour per direction on this. Um, but I don't think that lets them stop sufficiently precisely for platform screen doors, from platform edge doors. Um, and yeah, the OLA has moving blocks in the central section, and I imagine that they cribbed that for Crossrail. I don't actually know what signal system Crossrail uses, but that makes sense to me. Um, but it's not something that you would really want to use in this kind of context, I don't think. Um, like, there's no real reason to be that precise for anything else because you don't need it for capacity because the capacity limit is not going to be the station because the station has two platform tracks per access track. So, and this is not something Crossrail has because Crossrail is it's like a multi-station line. It's kind of like the IRA. Um, so anyway, about phasing, the point is that um, what you should be doing is recognizing that you don't need all these 11 platforms because even though the platforms are narrow, so here's something explosive. Penn reconstruction, the Penn Station master plan as part of Penn reconstruction says that with Penn reconstruction, which again keeps all the narrow platforms but just adds some access points, every platform would be compatible with the fire code. The fire code says that if every track that can be occupied is, there's enough throughput for evacuation in 4 minutes. So in practice, it means 2 minutes because in practice, because this assumes two trains per platform because Penn Station does not have enough robust enough timetabling to say we never need to do this on two different trains occupying the same platform. Now I can promise that because like literally this is how the turnouts work. Like the alternation is train, 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 train. Literally the only reason that the platform is like this is that so that you could have a train enter this track 1A while a train departs track 1B. It's essentially a hack which again would not even be necessary with moving block signaling. Like if you had like the moving block or even the quasi-moving block signaling of Munich, you would literally be able to like have the other track be nothing. Like you could in theory, I mean, I'm not saying you should do it, but in theory, you could even just zap, let's say, this and this track, or this and the and then have this be an even wider platform. So instead of two 11.5 meter platforms, or again 12 if you want to claw the track centers a little bit, you would have this is the strip is 3.4 meters because it's symmetric with the uh, platform edge to track center distance, which is 1.7 in American regulations. This is 3.4. This is 3.4, and the white space in return is 1.1. Again, the track centers are 4.5, so it's 7.9, 12.5, 11.5, 11.9. Now we're talking in theory, and again, I'm not saying you should do it, but in theory, you could, if you didn't think you needed multiple platform tracks per approach track, you would have instead 31-meter wide platform, technically 30.9. Ostkreuz and Südkreuz, where literally all of the station infrastructure, including ticket offices, like sit-down ticket offices and such, I think they're 20 meters. And this is like Leal is 17. Gare du Nord is 14 to 17, depends on where. Like it's that insane, which is why I didn't even look to try it. And yeah, and so the way that this works is that you so this is just an alternation. Bear in mind, I mean I'm not saying this is alternation why it's compliant with fire code. No, I mean it's like even if for some reason there was a train here, let's say there's a train here, while this train here stalls a little bit, and then when the train comes here, there's a fire, so the train comes here and then evacuates. You can still do the evacuation in the required 4 minutes. It's going to be a minute 20 per train or a minute 30 per train, so 3 minutes is less than four. I mean, fire code does not require to have a margin of safety. The four assumes margins of safety. Um, yeah, so the point is that these tracks can evacuate again, with Penn Station access, not Penn Station, with Penn reconstruction, they would be able to evacuate in 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, 2 minutes, but with stragglers, it's about three. So they literally said that the trains could have 2 minute wells in the core if they throw in. Um, they don't have enough good enough vertical access for that, but they're close to good enough. And I know this because the platform that Track 17 uses, um, this one, is NFPA 130 compliant. Two platforms are compliant, which is this and this. This is wide. This only has one track because track 18, even though track 18 in theory can platform in both stations, the station is not designed. The platform is not designed for servicing track 18, only 17. For example, the vertical axis is like there isn't enough space to walk around things like to walk around on this side. So for all intents and purposes, it's just this one. And even though it's the narrowest platform in the system, people can evacuate in format. So, um, yeah, you can. So the point is that because people can evacuate in like 4 minutes, even here it would be probably like 3.5 or something, and the only reason they're not compliant with the fire code is that they assume that there's a train here, or something like that. So what you do is you stop using these. Um, the phasing goes like this. Trains from New Jersey stop terminating. They all run through to the east. Um, and for example, they run through to Penn Station access, or they run through to the yard if there's nowhere else to send them. Uh, and then um, you start rebuilding these. So let's go on the layers and move this back up. It's supposed to be shift control page up. So including control shift page up, and it is not actually doing this. And when I try to do this, it's not consistently. I guess now it is. And so let's see through transparency. So platform number 2, platform number 3. So platform number 3 is between tracks 5 and 6. So the track numbers are track 1 right here. Then platform, track 2, track 3, track 4, and track 5. Track 5 either terminates like here or runs through very awkwardly. Track 5 is the least. So the tracks that they try not to use are 5 and 17. So track 5 is here, and then you would also need to do something with track 6. Track 6 is kind of this track, but not really, because it's really here, more like. So you need to be able to get rid of essentially tracks 1 through 6. Again, 1 through 4 is easy, and then when you do that, build, you build that, or rather, let me put it this way. So, I mean, I talk about track numbers, but it's actually what you need to do is first of all, you get rid of the above ground structures. So you get rid of MSG, which only has an operating permit for 5 years because people in city council actually do listen to the critics. Um, then you get rid of 2 Penn Plaza. It is, for people who don't know, it is, I'm going to show you the building. Um, MSG, 2 Penn. This is not a big building. It started at 50K square meters, which is not that impressive by any standards. This is bigger, for example, 1 Penn. Move, kill this, kill this. Start removing things from the concourses so that you don't need the what's it called? So you don't need um the columns as much anymore, and then you build the walkways. So the walkways are actually really important. It's enforced through, it's supposed to be the state code. It's supposed to be the state codes as well. Yeah, south to north. Yeah, exactly. So you turn down the buildings, then you build the walkways. The walkways are really important. It's not very clear from the 3D model what the architecture is because the walkways are just slabs, um, which there are a bunch of ways to support them. For example, Berlin Hauptbahnhof has these has columns, but they're not anything as obstructive as at Penn Station. Um, and certainly would not need to be very obstructive here. These are just pedestrian walkways, whereas the the like these like four tubes per column or something that Berlin Hauptbahnhof has, which is I think like I don't know, a meter and a half by a meter and a half or something like that. That's for structures that bear the load of trains. Um, and so you build east and west walkway. I guess this is 8th Avenue. This is West Walkway. But the thing is, so you either support them with columns that are to be dropped to where the eventual platform centers are. So you make sure that if there are columns and then maybe like I guess a good place to put a column would put the columns. It's the uh, sides of each elevator is probably the easiest, and then you have a lot of room because the elevator is again it's 3 by 2.7, so a bunch of space. Alternatively, so these can also be the base of some kind of arches. You can even do a through arch or a tied arch, and then you don't need to care about what's beneath. Like you can do cable stayed if you feel really fancy, and then have like literal cable stayed bridges in the middle of Manhattan. It's fine. Like I mean, it's going to be probably taller than Moynihan Station. It's going to be 30-ish meters. Judging by similar bridges in Pittsburgh, so this is 10 meters, and this is 40. Yeah, it would be maybe the same height or slightly taller than the Moynihan structure, a lot less tall than the existing MSG, because the existing MSG is 55 versus 12, and a lot less tall than, let's say, one ton, like this one. I mean, it's Manhattan. Like, I mean, like tall things are within context. And I'm not talking about, and this is not even super tall, it's just cable stayed or whatever. So the point is that you can make them independent of what's underneath. And then, so you build these walkways, but you don't yet build them with the vertical axis that I'm proposing. You build them with the vertical axis of the existing Penn, which means um, like an escalator, which means something like escalator, escalator, or escalator, or single direction escalator and staircase, or just staircase. Um, and you have these replace essentially the concourses where you can just remove the concourses. Um, so for most of the construction period, the track level looks the same as it does today, but the vertical axis changes and it's going to have to, of course, be temporary because all of that gets moved. And then once you can be independent of things on the track structure, on the track level, yeah, then you rebuild platforms south to north. The window within which you can do it is MSG has a permit for 5 more years, so you start 28 with the removal. The Gateway tunnel opens 35, so this needs to wrap up by then because after the HTP opens, there's just going to be too much stuff from Jersey for an easy way to do it. You can still do it, and maybe even early on you could do it because you might not need. But I mean, you probably. I mean, I don't know if you're going to need the full capacity of two tunnels, but you might not even be able to use full capacity of two tunnels from Jersey because of surface stuff that has not yet been done. Um, but yeah, like it's something that needs to be done between 28 and 35. That's your window of work. And again, you do it south to north. So 28, there's already going to be Penn Station access, so New Jersey Transit trains would increasingly be through running. And now all of the New Jersey Transit equipment can run to the New Haven line straightforwardly. It's catenary that can be uh, done that can be changed on the fly. I mean, I think the electric locomotives can even do that. But I mean, I think maybe the old EMUs couldn't, but the old EMUs are being thrown away and replaced with new EMUs which can do it. And so that's absolutely doable. So you start through running more and more things in New Jersey Transit, and you kind of don't need tracks 1 through 5 anymore. And then you can do the reconstruction there, uh, and then and even if not all New Jersey Transit trains run through, you can still terminate them on some middle tracks. That's fine. This is Penn, which I never remember how I click ban on. How do I ban this? Okay. Is there enough New Jersey Transit equipment to run through? They're buying new equipment. Like they're getting more and more equipment through the regular purchase cycle. So um like whenever you get new trains, you run them through and then you cascade the old ones. Also don't forget all these trains are so massively padded their timetables that you're actually gaining a lot of service hours just by simplifying the timetables and by doing through running. Because for example, if you do through running, you're converting at 20-minute dwells. And yeah, New Jersey, like these railroads have 20-minute turnaround times at Penn Station. You convert these 20-minute turnaround times to 3-4 minute dwell. Like they think they need to do 15, 12 or 15-minute dwells even for through trains, but that's stupid. Like they can do it even on the existing narrow platforms in like 4. Um, the other thing you might want to do is if you can convert the frequency on the Northeast corridor to 60 hertz, at least as far as the Kearney connection, then you can also run M8s. Because the whole point is that the M8s on Metro North, they can't. Like the transformers are only sized for 60 hertz, so they can run from New York to Boston. They could run from the Kearney connection, which is around here, to the Mars and Essex lines because they have been re-electrified 25 kV 60 hertz. But they can't run between here and here, or between here and like the Northeast corridor, south of New York in general. So if you manage to deal with the voltage issue and the frequency issue here, then um, you can even have M8s join the pool, and then the M8s could even involve the LIR if you really want to. Um, like on the scale of like doing it in the next 10 years, it's actually doable. Hmm, maybe. So about the double deck walkways, you could do it, but the vertical axis would be annoying because essentially it means that it's always going to be, I guess, about 4 meters apart, which means that first of all the lower walkways are going to be kind of be would have low ceilings, but also um yeah, actually I guess maybe like um like certainly you would not be able to do the thing that we have the concessions here because there would just be more stuff there. Um, okay, so careful enough, it does actually work with the maps, the moving of the layers. So anyway, does that it's something that it's something I don't think is stupid. It's one of the things I'm constantly thinking of in the same way that I'm constantly thinking of maybe having these east-west walkways here and here, or like just in general using this space better. Like we're not gonna make another 3D model, I don't think, but it's useful to like think about how this can change. Um, okay, so I'm gonna move the escalators to here, but I don't remember. Okay, I'm gonna check where the escalators are relative to this. So I can. This is. Am I on west walkway? Yeah. So let's be on east walkway. Like the taper essentially starts in the middle of east walkway. So here you don't get to see the taper very much, but on the other side you do. And yeah, so note that here this is already a little bit offset. So you do this, and this is, and you can literally see the pit of the escalator from here, but if you do it from this direction, no, it's already a little, it's already we're already being offset. So this is the more this extremal escalator is roughly the same as the more central escalator. So it's not even then this moves here. They both of them move a little bit south. I guess from here. This is platform 2. Platform 1. So here, this is the more distal one, and yeah, okay, the distal, it stays distal. Um, I'm not sure whether distal or extremal are really sense, like, or terms that really make sense in this context. I'm just stealing anatomy terminology, really. Okay, so how do I select this? So I select this, and then I deselect. Like, the problem is selecting both, like, red and blue here is going to be annoying. So let's do this and this. Okay. Um, what's the thing here? This is y is 1556 and height is 16. So this needs to be 40, I guess. I need to be sufficiently zoomed in that I can actually select the handrails. So 1540. Yeah. Yeah, because this is flush against this part because of the taper, and this is not even, this would have to move even farther south. So what is this again? 1362, okay. So 1362, we need to make this 46. Oh, there are two of these. Okay. Okay, and then I guess these need to move a little south. Um, yeah, you have a. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. I can see that, but um, yeah, but I mean, the thing is, like, you really want to be able to like get to the direct to straight level. Like, the important thing is to get to straight level, not just the subway. Um, so there's this and this model. Certainly, this is roughly the centered bit, especially because of this. Oh, here it's not centered, is the thing, because of how this taper works. So this needs to go farther south, is the point. By how much? Well, I suppose roughly the middle, so 8 maybe. Uh, yeah. So this is, by the way, so this is kind of sketch. Like, you need a minimum of 2 meters, which is literally what this is, because this is y. I guess the y rises north to south here. So here y is at the max what 1406, and here it is 1386. So it's literally exactly 2 meters, and this is all you have. This is all you have. In practice, these might want to be a little slanted to be parallel to the center of this, just to avoid having this really annoying corner. Um, so yeah, I believe the middle platforms, like, there is a taper, but it's not as relevant. Yeah, so platform 3, this is the more distal, and this is the more. Yeah, it platform 3 behaved like platform 2 in this. Platform 4 possibly could even have. Yeah, platform 4. This is the more central one, and it's where the more central one is. It? Yeah. Okay. It's actually very symmetric when I look at it sufficiently closely. So this means that in platform 4, this moves up. Because, yeah, I guess it's the direction of the taper. And then here, and then we can also kill these. These are just control lines. This is a line of length 8.8 because that's the so 8.8 it's because you need to have 2 meters on the side and then 1.6 meter for the escalator pitch and 1.6 for staircase, but because these are not aligned with the platform, you lose the staircase. And honestly, it's fine. Like you build the vertical circulation that you need, not the vertical circulation that you will never need because it will oversaturate the access points to it anyway. Um, this is, so we need to move from the bottom to the top. So this is 1141, okay? And then we need to do it here and again 4 times, and because they didn't think I'm not going to be able to repeat my work. Also, it's not 1141 because these also need to move 8 to the top. So like this, and then here we keep this, I guess, and move this symmetric with 1, right? Yeah. I'm gonna take questions while I do this. If people have more questions about this. So yeah, here this will just move direct to the top. This is 931, so 947. As opposed to 74, I guess. Yeah, because because the escalator is 2.7. That's the one that's gone. And then here this moves here because we moved distally. No, not really, centrally, opposite of distally. Also dorsally. No, no, central, whatever. So 64. Then likewise move this 27 to the south. 27 is 70. And then with this 78. Turns out actually memorizing the numbers does make everything easier. So we move 27 up. So subtract is 65. And we also need to subtract another 8. And here we just move. What is this? 71, okay. Yeah, so this is the escalators here. Again, they're tapered, but again, what can you do? Then there's these ones, which are going to be more annoying to deal with because first of all, these need to be shorter because West End corridor is, not West End, East End corridor is not as high. Second, I'm pretty sure that, yeah. Okay, also importantly, this is about 4 meters, right? Here. And West End corridor likewise is the level. Like the problem is that this is like I was assuming the West End corridor was much deeper than it is. It's not that shallow. Like I was assuming it was 2/3 depth and it's 1/3 depth. As we did it. So and this matters. So where is it actually 1/3? Okay, I'm confusing myself at this point because it's not half depth. It's either 2/3 or 1/3. Um, and I can actually do it through counting steps. If there's steps here, right? Because the step counts are accurate there. So this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3. Is this 13? Yeah. This is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah, it's 25 steps. So 25. Yeah, this is actually one third depth. Yeah, two-thirds depth because it's 25 steps and normally it's 72. So no, that was actually correct. The problem is, yeah, and then East End Corridor is visibly much less deep because with East End Corridor, look so this is West End, which is one third depth. Sorry, two-thirds depth. And then you can see how you actually go up a level underground when you go up to. So this gets you to the walkways beneath the subway platforms, and here, like this is like here, like the floor is about the you can see from here. And if you're wondering if I know that this is accurate, yeah, Emily was using some fancy tools to compute exacting. So the floor here is higher than the ceiling here. And yeah, it's a very narrow ceiling. It's a very low ceiling, but still, like no, we were actually measuring exact dimensions on all of these because I was not sure about the 3D, no, not the 3D. I was not sure about some of the dimensions of West End. I was trying to do as much step counting as possible, but so this would be the platform level, not the under level. So yeah, this is two-thirds, not one-third. No, West End is not like East End. West End is below subway level. East End is subway level. That ramp does not look ADA accessible. That ramp exists. So that ramp, I believe, is something that currently exists already. Um, if it does not exist, then the actual design, it doesn't matter what is shown, is going to be ADA accessible because the most it's going to mean is that it's going to be 1 in 13 with like 1 in 12 with refuge. Like that's like at that scale, having the ramp be in the correct dimensions is like trivially easy. And again, I think this is a ramp that already exists. Um, so the only way this is inaccessible if it already exists and is inaccessible, and even then, I mean that's at the scale of what we're talking about, not hard to change. Okay, so this is two-thirds, not one-third. Important to note, and this means that okay, um, let's remind ourselves where the elevators are. The line here does not need to be. What the line here does not need to be here. Again, these were just lines. These were the 8.8 meter lines and the 4 point and the did I say 4.8? No, 5.6 meter lines because no 5.6, 7.2 because two escalators is 3.2 and then two on each is 7.2, which were it's kind of the limits of where you can still have a platform. Not a platform, a vertical axis. So this is me just trying to figure out how to move the escalators, the elevators, and we're going to move them back. Always pixels, never millimeters. And we start at x equals 3970. I'm going to move them here. The reason we're going to move them is that we can do this. So that we can do this. So we can, why the hell when I select something and try to move it, it's making me move other things? Like, why is it like that? Okay, so it's this thing, and then let's see. So first of all, we move it. We just kill the width to be like this. We want it flush with this thing, which I believe starts at 3900. So 3740. is where we need it to be. Yeah, okay, and then we just move them down one by one, I guess. And it's annoying, but it's East End is East End does not exist. East End is not a corridor that presently exists. East End is so this is the subway platform level. East End is kind of like this, except widened. Um, I think the original idea for East End was that to widen this, so that would be one third, sorry, two-thirds depth, not one-third depth, um, but if it were like this, again, it could be done like this, but the escalators would have to start from where they are starting in the model anyway, because there's no more room on the platforms. Like the platforms taper too fast beyond that point anyway. So it's something like this. So either way, I mean, this is the space you get on the platform. So you could do it that way. Again, we didn't. Like we could absolutely do something that's just level. So west end level with connecting, and then east end is opposed to this. The connecting goes, and then the connecting is one level higher, and then this. Um, but again, you don't gain platform for this, for example. Um, yeah. So anyway, with it, because no, seriously, look at how tapered this is, and remember that we're not letting ourselves taper. Like again, you can get a little bit if you have if you allow the escalators not to be straight east west. I mean, not straight east, or like Manhattan straight Manhattan east west, as opposed to like this. Um, that said, I'm pretty sure you lose capacity if you make people go like this, you lose a bit capacity. But if you go make people go like this, like escalators that are slant relative to the walkway, that might lose you more capacity. So this is why I'm squeamish about doing it that way. Um, and again, squeamish does not mean it shouldn't be done. It just means I am squeamish. Let me be very clear that when I say I'm squeamish, this is not a euphemism. This is what this means is I am squeamish. Okay, let's move these up so that I can actually play with them. And then where would these even go? I might actually do it by eye or something. So 404, 429. So 429 minus 404, it's this millimeters. Note that it's enough space. No, this is not that little space. It's not bad space or anything. Um, and yet. So we do this. Mostly we just need to be able to capture the escalator walk. Yeah, this. And then this needs to move down, I guess. So, obviously it can't be like this. It needs to be closer to the center of the platform. And this is where I'm gonna be really hackish and try to do everything by eye and ask that you guys forgive me. So let's see. It's gonna be at the top here. If it's what, 115, 30? Not even 30. 26 maybe? Nope, too much. 28? Yeah. So 28, and if we move it to be 48 to be in the middle. I guess we need to, I guess we need also space here is the really gnarly bit, so 68 maybe. Wait, what if we give it like this is actually not a bad location for this. I just want to make sure that I'm not okay. If it's 88, wait, this actually has enough space. That's am I insane or something? Right? Because platform ends here, so I don't care about past this. Here you have more than 2 meters. Yeah, that's fine. Like I'm being overly paranoid. Yeah, 1568. That's fine. I mean, maybe not the most optimized thing, but the most. Oh, hey, Ooh, can you please? Um, ooh, thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, no, that's a lot easier. Thank you. Because again, I'm trying to get them from because I don't have the bladder model in front of me, and when I asked said she said it would be difficult for her to find it. Bear in mind, when I say difficult for her to find, I asked her like 5 minutes before I started, not 5 minutes, 20 minutes before I started streaming. So it's not like I mean, this is not an effort. This is not an effort stream to use the effort post terminology on Reddit. Um, okay, 1356. So how far can you go now? 410 maybe? No, more than 410. And also this needs to go to die. 1415, maybe 1416. And then 13, I'm going to 1390. That might not be the most. Yep, yeah, I figured. Thanks, by the way. And thanks for jumping in and sorry for like this mess. Um, yeah, it's like this and like this. Um, okay. Meanwhile, because this is going to be figured out by the person who actually placed the escalators in a bit, we can just do things like um create this. I mean, I know that I asked you for the width of this and then I couldn't look because I was already streaming. So there's this bit, which I think is roughly in line with this one, right? It's oh, ooh, awesome. Thank you. Um, Okay, so how far does the northern connector go? Which is sometimes called 33rd Street Corridor, but it's not 33rd Street. It's called it has a name. So yeah, this is the middle of 33rd Street. And then this is, I guess, under the rest of 33rd. You know, I can actually look from the street, right? And yeah, I don't know why the escalators are sometimes a bit weird, but yeah, and then you can see that this is um a thing because the um and you can't jump down because there are some invisible walls here. The station used to have a lot more invisible walls anyway because for while testing like I tested this a bunch. We all tested this a bunch, and at some point I started saying that I'm playing Anna Karenina the game because I was constantly looking for ways to jump onto the tracks. Uh, because there used to be a lot of such bugs in the early version. Okay. Um, I'm gonna pretend that it goes as far as the street, but it goes farther in this version. But I mean, the corridor that is only goes about as far here. Okay, so let's have it start from here, maybe. Yeah. So how do I do it? Also, what is the color on this? I can just check. This is something I can check. Uh, are you doing it here? Okay, yeah, it's 128 green, and it's just okay. It's dark green. It's just only 50% opacity because I want people to be able to see through. Okay, so do this. No stroke. Correct fill. Opacity 50. Yep. Oh, well, yeah, and then there's a problem with when you layer two things with non-complete opacity one on top of the other, you get these colors. We'll fix this in a moment. So this is start 1026 and 1200 exact. So start 1200 exact. Start, let's say y equals 0 maybe. And again, this is a little bit inaccurate, but yeah. So we do this, and then when does this start? 39? Yeah. And then it looks like this, and it looks contiguous right now, and we need to make this a little bit, it's not 6 meters, it's wider. And again, this is because these go a little deeper, a little under the buildings, but I don't think they necessarily need to. So let's do not up until this, maybe up until. I mean, the connecting corridor again. The connecting concourse exists, so it's something that um literally has stairs down to the existing platform, which is here. So I guess it can be like. I mean, I guess it goes up until like wherever you need the vertical circulation here to go. So if we say that this is 1568. 1568, what is the symmetric equivalent of it? So 1568 versus 1485. I'm about to get my math degree revoked. Actually, I'm about to get, people are going to remind me that I actually have a math degree. It's the other way around. Like usually math people are like the ones who can't do arithmetic to save their fucking lives. Um, the rule like a lot of communities are all about who pays the bill when it's a bunch of students come out is the youngest person who is not a math major, because if it is a math major they will, so it's 83. um and so um this is 280, yeah, 820. So should this be, it's not 80, I was looking at x and not y. This is, the y is 127. Wait, there's no way that the y here is even higher, right? Because that's, yeah, no, that's silly. So what am I getting wrong? So this is 1485, and this starts 1568. Right, so the point is that this starts 127 but ends 242, and this needs to end 242, this needs to end 160, so it needs to start 128. Okay, this might not be correct, but it's symmetric with this. What did we say it starts at? 128, so this needs to go, well, up until 128, I guess. Um, like this is not, I mean, in the model it's not exactly flush, but that's the limit. Check Discord. Okay. I'm gonna check Discord and I hope that I'm not actually gonna blow any. So the problem is because this is being recorded, how about this? I'm going to do something a little bit silly, and this is my paranoia. Uh, so this is going to be a paranoia uh, moment. The paranoia moment is that I don't like checking Discord when I'm doing this. Okay. Okay. Um, and this is okay. This is in meters, and okay, I don't need to do the paranoia. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm already looking. It's just that I specifically am trying to not have. Wait, what? The screen. Yeah. The screen share is fucked. Yeah, this is specifically because again, as a paranoia measure, I don't like showing my Okay, and these are these are the escalators. Okay, yeah, it's this. Yeah, I mean, I can show you guys this because I actually checked, and there's nothing uh very secretive about this. So 155.949. Okay, I'm going to start with platform one on this. So is this the center line? So this is 156.8. So this is 155.949. Is this the center line of the escalator, or is this where or is this the northernmost point? Oh, meters from the top. Yeah, this is where professional streamers have a second monitor, but um, I am not sure how clear it is that I am not in fact a professional streamer. Um, between the fact that I never do video editing and that I have usually about 10-ish viewers at a time. This is okay, so this is 137881. Thank you, by the way, Emily. 137881. Wait, this is strange because like there's very little space here, whereas like here there would have been space. Like um, this is okay. Or maybe it is that way. I don't know. Like, but I mean, there's certainly enough space to move it. Like, I'm not gonna ask for moving it again because it's done. Um, but again, Eastern Corridor is the bit that is the most sketch where I'm like being asked to just produce a blueprint. I might do something different. But again, like there's a reason that like I usually use this as like I use the jump axis method. Which when I'm saying it now, it sounds like some kind of fancy thing, right? The jump axis method, as opposed to you jump 4 meters down from the street to the corridor, um, because a certain project manager didn't um, sufficiently um, draw the circulation. Oh yeah, I guess yeah, it is kind of cramped, but it's also literally the end of the platform. So I believe this was the who cares moment. Yeah, because you got here, but again, it's literally the end of the platform, so it is kind of a who cares moment. Could I not swing my grants to a public outreach as part of a research grant? I absolutely would if I had a real viewing, which I don't. Like, I love all of you guys. I love everyone who watches me. I love everyone who nitpicks me in chat and tells me that all of my numbers are incorrect. Um, but I uh this is 112.873. But I don't. This is not enough of an audience that I feel confident talking about how to like monetize it as part of the grant or something. Again, there are viewership numbers. So the first time I ever streamed, I think I had like 30 or 40 watchers, but this was when I was just crowning. It was the first time, and I guess I had a drop off. 112873. Wait, okay, now this looks really weird. Are we sure that we're starting from the same point? Because 112873 like literally doesn't even hit the platform. Um, or is the because if this were the lower end, then yeah, because 1128,730, you subtract 32 for this, it is this is something I would believe, I guess. This actually makes a lot of sense. Like this. Um Also he. Between me and Emily there are 0 people with he have pronouns. Um no, I'm counting it's counted from the top, but the count is I think inconsistent on whether it is the top or the bottom of the escalators, but um, again, all of this is something where we can just like all of the stuff that has been specifically eyeballed specifically because the taper was like being janky to the point that you can literally see pink bits emerge. Like literally my instructions family were to like look from the yep. It is from the bottom of the escalator. Okay. But the escalators are straight east west. At least Manhattan straight east west. That should not be the issue. This and what is 495424? Okay. Which is a little weird here as well, right? Because um, this 95. Yeah, I think it's a flip in the middle between whether it's the top or the bottom, whether it's the northern or southernmost point of the escalator. 952.95424. But again, that doesn't really work. Whereas this is exactly what I would, almost exactly what I would expect. Um, yep, and lots of NPs in here. Three platform four is four just literally yeah. So four you can see it's a little bit north. Yeah, that sounds about right. And then five is five symmetric with four? Should be 77125. No, I mean I'm saying that mine is 77125. Also 77125. Yeah, that's kind of yeah. I guess it's just knowing whether to add 20 or subtract 32 or not, and that is something that I like. My math skills may not be the best in the world, but like subtracting 32 from a whole number is nothing to do. 59676. 59676. This does not look like it requires further. Actually, maybe it does require further surgery. This is. I mean, I guess it's symmetric with platform three at least, which is at this point all I'm asking for. Um, like, yeah, there's not a lot of space here, and yeah, you can try to create more space here, but really you create more space by having these by slanting these, except these create their own problems, so you don't need to slant. Um, um, like it's fine again, it's fine the way it is. Like, and I mean, if there's really no space for the platform to go as far as here and not here, that's honestly okay because you can just. I mean, in practice, it's trivially easy to create space at the western end. Um, like a lot of like a lot of like the little errors there from zero in the x-axis to the it's the middle of the escalator. Oh, sorry, sometimes need to add 16. Okay. Um, which is still fine. 34668. Okay. 34668, and that's obviously nonsense. So 14, I guess. This works. This actually looks more correct like this than the other. And I'm not actually sure what I do with these. I think they're actually pretty close to where the graphic is. So this and this. I made it 128. It's 16601, which again, 16601 doesn't really work given how close it is. So it's, I guess, 1341. Yeah, that's fine. I think. So if it's like this and then the corridor goes exactly as far as this, then it is 13401 or something like that. And again, it's not exactly the thing, but again, lots of approximations were done for this, and I moved the escalator, move the elevators back. And then literally the only thing here that needs to be changed is that these pink things need to actually taper, which I will figure out how to do. Either right now or off stream if people don't want this to be an lol. Alon does not know how to use adult graphic design software stream. Which, to be fair, I don't really know how to use adult graphic design software. Let's not kid ourselves. No, it works fine like this. It's again like it show like it's a little bit weird. Like especially this is looks kind of weird where there's barely space here and there's barely space here. But I say barely, I mean you have like more than 2 meters here, more than 2 meters here, which is the minimum you need. In German regulations, I think American regulations are 6 feet, so they let you get away with less space. Um, but I mean, Emily and I spent all of April talking, like nailing down how to do this by German regulation. Um, I think the only stuff here that's not German regulations, I think the staircases, um, because in German regulations and in European regulations, staircases have to be a little bit less steep than in American regulations. And in American regulations, actually, the staircase angle from the regulations is the same as escalators, whereas in German ones or in European ones in general, the escalators, not the escalators, the staircases need to be a little bit shallower. So we did American because first of all, this is American. Second, like being a little stricter would have actually required space in a more annoying way. Yeah, everything is metric, exactly. Yeah, that's nice. Next, we have this. Um, um, what else do we need? This is already there. This is there. This is there. The lack of a taper here is mildly annoying. What happens if I delete these? Nah, it doesn't look nice. Um, so I'll figure this out off stream, I guess. I will upload this, and I might delete the layer for 200-meter radius, where at one point I was. It's gonna look weird because a lot of this stuff here is gonna. So at one point I tried to figure out what happens if I'm allowed to have much steeper. Ignore like the differences. This is just older version. If I'm allowed to have much steeper. Uh, what's it called? Much steeper curves. So you can see how these are how these take less time, less space to taper, whereas here the taper has to be much more gradual. And but obviously, if you can get away with this, which I think you can, look, you do this, then this is a lot of massaging, but you get 50 kilometers an hour speed limit. You do the other thing, you get 40. So it's not, it doesn't look like a massive difference, but remember, the train, the switch imposes this. This is, by the way, why in general, when you do train station design, you should try to avoid speed restrictions that are very close to the, even if they're close to the platforms, because again, they affect the trailing edge of the train. So 50 versus 40 doesn't look like much, especially if it's like, I don't know, here. Here we're talking what? Like this is um like what? 4 point, so it's x starts to, this is 430 meters, and the platform edge here, I guess, is um the platform edge is what, 382. So we're talking it's like 50 meters from the platform edge, this bit, and it looks like it's not very important because it's just 50 meters, but no, it's 350 from the start of the train, and in 350 meters, look, uh, the train, and at this point I remember the formula, so it is divided by 2, divided by the acceleration rate. It takes the train 50 meters to get to this, so we're talking 300 meters almost if it's a falling train. But you're doing 40 instead of 50. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's not the biggest. I mean, it's 5 seconds, but um, if you can get away with not wasting these 5 seconds, don't waste these 5 seconds. Um, anyway, are there other questions? Um, especially they can include technical questions about graphic design or like, not graphic design, about 3D modeling that I only know through osmosis of hearing Sid and Emily talk during meetings. Um, we don't need this or this. And then we are gonna break like it's already a 2 hour recording almost. Um, much chocolate has been consumed. By the way, seriously, Emily, thanks for hopping on. Um, ooh, awesome. Yeah, thanks. Um, yeah, and Edwith. Any topics I plan on covering in the future? I don't know. I'm going to try to do a more serious webinar about this. I was hoping for Friday, but that looks like a pipe dream, so maybe Tuesday in a week. I was told not to do it Wednesdays and not to do it Mondays. Um, and yeah. So we can do that. Saturday, I don't know if I'm gonna have the energy to stream. I might do the stream that like Warner has been badgering me about for a while about explaining to urbanists that not everything is about them because there are people who have tried to connect every social problem like fertility rates being too high or too low or whatever to urbanism or people trying to connect like I mean Jane Jacobs was really bad at this as well like trying to connect the caste system to urbanism somehow uh, and yeah so maybe the kind of it's not all about your rant that I might do on Saturday. Oh, thank you very much, and I really, uh, and I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. Oh, how is it connected to the subway? Yeah. And by talk I mean showed. Um, we're all good, fellas here. So we all believe in show don't tell, right? Like I don't know to what extent it's well known, but like the American writing maxim show don't tell. Um, is from writers' workshops in the 1950s that received surreptitious CIA funding. They did. I don't think they even knew they were getting CIA funding. It wasn't like the CIA trying to change American writing or something. It was just they were trying to like kind of invest in like American culture shit because to like show that America has culture too. It's not just socialists. Um, but the maxim show don't tell came from one of these workshops to the point that a lot of Latter-day Marxists have decided that show don't tell is like a CIA propaganda thing. But anyway, yeah. So I'm going to show you. This is from the West End corridor, the access to the ACE. Um, this is at the level. This is one level below the cracks, and then here there's the ramp that gets you to the. So here we are level with the subway platforms. We're under 33rd Street and not under an avenue and therefore no subway. But as we get to 7th Avenue in a bit, we can see it in the background. There is going to be likewise subway access to the 123 at 7th Ave. That is access to the subway. It's right here, and here is the East End corridor bit, which is again the like I'm pretty open this is being this is the least complete part of the design. So the answer is yes. Um, ooh, would I consider what American cities can learn from Tokyo a topic? Yes. Um, or what European cities can learn from Tokyo. Um, ooh, I'm really ooh. I wasn't even thinking about Shinjuku. I guess Emily was thinking about. Emily, which Japanese stations were you thinking of when you're doing some of this? Because Emily, unlike me, like had like actually, yeah, yeah, yeah. Emily was showing me a lot of really cool bike parking at I think Mitaka. Um, when I was talking about bike parking standards and like all I know is like Dutch stuff and like a couple pictures from Copenhagen. Yeah. Apparently, so Utrecht, which did not inspire the original hole in the ground idea, but inspired some of the later things, apparently learned tricks from Shinagawa. Like they were inspired by Shinagawa when they were making the station design less flexible. They removed 130 out of 200 turnouts. So it's nothing as extreme as what I did. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you were telling me about Shibuya. I just didn't remember which one. Um, because like this design has very few turnouts. Um, you can maybe add a few if you really want to, but this is, I believe, 20 turnouts. The current station, I can't even count. There are so many. So this is more extreme than in Utrecht. Utrecht, they went from 200 to 70, but it's the same thing. Like you remove turnouts, you like kind of make the design more rigid because that is much more reliable. Turnouts are very failure prone. They're very maintenance intensive. Um, in practice, if you try to run your timetable based on like lots of switching, then one delayed train messes the entire system. Uh, and this was absolutely Japanese inspired. Like in Japan, they are really inflexible about a lot of things. Like for the example that I keep blowing Americans' minds with is that they don't have bidirectional signaling on the Shinkansen. Like a Shinkansen train cannot switch to the wrong direction tracks and keep the signal system. Um, they don't need to because they have nighttime shutdowns for maintenance. They don't do daytime signal tracking ever, but they don't have that option. Whereas in the United States, bidirectional signaling is viewed as kind of like a prerequisite of modern track operations on the main line. So yeah, I can talk about this, but other people can talk about this more. Yeah, yeah, I'm saying this is much more extreme than Utah. Um, yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, are there other questions? Like Tokyo, like you can do the what you can learn from Japan actually another time. It's actually a really good topic. Um, and yeah, you're right. In practice, there should be more turnouts that are not detected because the plan is so I didn't draw what happens west of this point. West of this point, some trains go to a realigned Empire connection and some go to West Side Yard. There's not enough demand on the Hudson line to run every train from the east. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, this is why yeah, so by the way, Hikoki. This is why I give people time to ask questions. There's also often a substantial delay. Uh, so I don't want to end stream while people are still typing. So I tell people so I keep looking at the delay because if there's a stream preview here, then I get to see how long the delay is. And right now, for some reason, it's not working. But uh, so running at least the west side of Manhattan is worth. I mean, it is worth it, but okay. Um, one of these days, and it might not be something that I can do with the grant money and the employee resources that I have in the next year, but I can do it later. In the next year, we're just gonna figure out how can you do high speed rail and how can you share tracks with the things that high speed rail needs to share track with. And like the whole point of the system, so the platforms are like numbered like sanely, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The lines are not numbered sanely. The lines are numbered historically. So line 1 is this and this, and initially also this and this. Line 2 is gateway, and this is going to go to Grand Central. And line 3 is this with the realigned Empire connection, and they use these consistently when I crayon. So, um, all right, I don't have it on my. I haven't transferred to the computer. Line 3. So the point is that line 3 is designed never to share tracks with anything on the main line, so I don't need to think about it. Okay. Am I willing to talk about prestige in transit? Um, Not right now, but yes, in the future. I can talk about prestige if you like. Um, and it's not exactly because the trains are in China. I mean, the trains are in China. But yeah, no, there are prestige issues. They go up and down. So, for example, historically, there was a lot of prestige the in the lead up to and then during the Great Recession because gas prices were really hard. Were really plain, huh? Yeah, I overpronounce foreignisms, except specifically when the languages are tonal because I lived in Singapore and tried learning Chinese, and I speak Chinese like a white person. Um, and Yep, yeah, I figured from what Emily was saying. So yeah, um, so anyway, gas prices were really high in America, starting from about, let's say, Katrina was the kind of when it became very obvious to. Then in the Great Recession, they tanked because people weren't driving as much. So people were talking about alternatives to the car, and that's when people were discovering things like decoupling. Decoupling means that starting in the 1990s, um, vehicle kilometers traveled decoupled from growth. Like previously, they rose in tandem with the economy, and then starting in the 90s, they started growing much more slowly. And so the 2000s were a weak growth decade, and so were most of the 2010s. So VKM per capita in the US actually peaked in 2005 and took until like I think the Trump era to get back to peak. And so gas prices were high, and people were talking about trains as an alternative a lot. And so people were excited about California high-speed rail and about the couple $1 billion for infrastructure in the Obama stimulus, and of course, nothing came of that. Um, and then in the 2010s, as the economy kept growing, the kind of prestige fell. And I think a lot of it is during Corona specifically, like the high gas prices that are happening right now are not actually inducing a transit renaissance. People instead are getting bigger and bigger cars. So that is a thing that they could talk about for more than 2 minutes. It's not exactly about bad service. It's about a bunch of other things that again I might talk about next year. It's actually a really good idea to maybe even bundle into the not everything is about your urbanist stream. And again, I'm sorry that I'm telling you I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it is 9:53 and I usually like ending stream at 9. So I mean I started late, but still. Um, anyway, are there more questions? Ooh, thanks for watching. Yeah. Um, yeah, so I hope to come back here on Saturday if Tuesday is going to be webinar day. I'm not going to stream. And yeah. Ooh, thanks. And yeah, see you in the next one. So, ciao, ciao.